Hi everyone, today I wanted to talk about staff trainings and how important they are, and then I want to talk about staff trainings that I do and how they are beneficial. So most centers have a state requirement where your staff have to have certain hours of continuing education and professional development. I know here in Wisconsin they have to have full-time staff have to have 15 hours. So I have created 4 trainings that I have done using my own expertise throughout my years of being in the field. And then of course I've done my own research too. The trainings that I do are very common trainings, and I have found them to be very effective of all the trainings that I've done at daycares. The first one is classroom management. Classroom management is basically kind of just talking about what teachers should be doing in their classrooms. And we also talk a little bit about the program itself and how the program can also support teachers in having an effective classroom. So that one's always a really good one, and that one is good for, honestly, seasoned teachers and teachers that are new to the field, because it kind of gives everybody a time to talk about their classroom, because how often do they really get to talk about their classroom? The other one is behaviors. Obviously, that's another huge one in this field. We're starting to see a lot more behaviors with kids, and so we talk about how to manage those behaviors. But I also tell people those behaviors, my behavior training is how to manage just very simple behaviors in the field that we see, and how we are going to handle maybe behaviors that are kind of go beyond what you guys are trained for. So that's always a really good one. And then I have a biting training. I do have that one separate from behaviors because biting needs its own training. So, and obviously that one is kind of the same with behaviors. It just kind of talks about, what you should be doing in your classroom. How do we prevent biting? Because we obviously can't just make it go away. And then the last one is professionalism in the workplace. Again, another very popular one. How should teachers be presenting themselves? Just simple things like, how are you walking in for the day? How are you communicating with your parents? So yeah, those are very popular topics that I have. Typically what I do is I come into programs during mostly staff in-service days is usually when I go in, although I can do come in during staff meeting nights as well. I can travel anywhere. I'm here in Wisconsin, but I can travel anywhere. I was just in Chicago 3 days ago. And obviously there's going to be some travel fees to it, but I try to make them very reasonable for both of us. The actual cost of the trainings is also very reasonable, just to kind of give you an idea. For, let's say you have 20 or more staff, I charge $395. All trainings count as 2 hours for continuing ed. Teachers will get certificates at the end. I do like maybe it's a game, like kind of let's just call it a game during the training, where they have to listen and learn, and they write down something, and then at the end they turn in their name to win a prize at the end. I try to keep the trainings very interactive, instead of just reading from a script. I don't use projectors. I simply use paper. Everybody gets a handout. So I do my trainings kind of old school, but again, it makes it way more interactive. So yeah, the trainings are very beneficial, and it's just, honestly, it's a time for you to kind of sit back and relax, and for your staff to kind of learn things. Sometimes it's nice for your staff to hear things from somebody else, especially if you're dealing with a situation where you're constantly telling your staff one thing, but then when somebody else hears it, it just has a whole new meaning to it. So yeah, there's a lot of benefits to the trainings. If anyone is interested in more information in the trainings and talking about, how that would work for your program, I'm more than happy to send our brochure over, or obviously schedule like a consultation chat with anybody. But yeah, like I said, staff trainings are huge. Your staff need those trainings, as well as even managers, need those trainings too. So yeah, I appreciate you listening, and reach out to us if you want more information about our staff trainings.